I'm not a lawyer, but you may have heard that there is a Diddy lawsuit that recently named Drewski and Odell Beckham as defendants, and I want to give you a little bit of context. This lawsuit was originally filed in October of 2024. At that point, Drewski and Odell Beckham were not named as defendants. It was just Diddy, the woman who worked for him, Christina Coram, a man named Shane Pierce, a Jane Doe, and then some other John Does. In that lawsuit, the plaintiff, whose name is Ashley Parham, says that she filed a police report shortly after the incident happened. The sheriff's office in that area confirmed that they did take a report from her, and that detectives thoroughly investigated the accusations, and they'd later determined that the claims were unfounded. Of course, a police department saying claims are unfounded doesn't stop a civil lawsuit from moving forward, and that doesn't mean that something didn't happen. But for timeline's sake, I wanted to give you that context. So that lawsuit and that statement from police happened back in October. So now fast forward to March 7th and the lawsuit gets amended. More defendants are added, meaning the people being sued, and more plaintiffs are added, meaning the people doing the suing. So the lawsuit is now Ashley Parham plus a John and Jane Doe suing Diddy, Druski, Odell Beckham, Jacqueline Wright, aka Jaguar Wright, Janice Combs, Diddy's mom, the restaurant manager named Shane Pierce, a man named Keith Lux, aka Big Homie CC, who the lawsuit says is Diddy's bodyguard, as well as some others. The lawsuit starts off saying that Ashley Parham says she met Shane Pierce at a bar back in February of 2018 after she had an altercation with another man and Shane came to her rescue. At some point while outside of that bar, the suit says that Shane calls Diddy on FaceTime to kind of show off that he knows him. But when Shane goes to show Ashley the phone, Ashley says she is not impressed because she believes Diddy had something to do with the death of Tupac. The suit says that Diddy heard what Ashley said, and he responded by saying that she's gonna pay for what she said. The suit then jumps to the following month when Shane allegedly invited Ashley over to his house to help him with his cancer medications because he said he was weak and unable to open them. So she arrives at his house and Shane takes her for a ride in his new car. And then when they get back, the suit says he leaves the door partially open, saying that something was wrong with it. About 10 minutes later, Diddy, his bodyguard, Big Homie CC, KK, and some other John Does walk in. At this point in the suit, Ashley Parham says that she believes Shane invited her over that date as they set up for her to be assaulted because of what she said about Diddy at the bar that night. According to Ashley, she's sitting on Shane's bed when Diddy walks over and holds a knife to the right side of her face, threatening to give her a Glasgow smile. But KK, the woman who works for Diddy, allegedly responds saying that it wouldn't be a good idea to give her this Glasgow smile because the people they plan to sell Ashley to might not like it. From there, the suit says that Ashley is undressed and oiled up, and then things are inserted into her. The suit says Shane does some things, Diddy does some things, a John Doe that hasn't been identified also does some things, and then another John Doe, who the lawsuit now identifies as Druski, is told to do some things. The suit says Druski oils Ashley up some more, and then treats her like a quote slip and slide, knocking the wind out of her due to his enormous size. The suit says Druski does eventually do some things, and then another John Doe, who the suit has now identified as Odell Beckham, also does some things. When the things are over, the lawsuit says that everyone goes outside, leaving Ashley in the bedroom. After she's able to get some strength, Ashley finds her shirt and a knife and also goes to the backyard because it's the only way to get to the street. Once she gets back there, it says Diddy starts telling her that what happened was consensual. She responds by telling him that it wasn't consensual, and that's when Diddy's bodyguard, according to this lawsuit, shows her his phone, which appears to be the outside of her estranged sister's house. The suit says, quote, it looked as if someone was outside the residence, streaming video to Big Homie CC's phone. As Ashley is continuing to not agree that this incident was consensual, the lawsuit says that Diddy then calls his mom, Janice Combs, to get her to convince Ashley not to report what happened. It says Janice yelled at Ashley to not hurt her son and told her to just take the money that was being offered to her. And at this point, the lawsuit says that Diddy and the bodyguard, Big Homie CC, get into some kind of issue because Diddy allegedly said that he's gotten away with worse crimes than this, like what he did to Tupac. And Big Homie the bodyguard responds to this by pulling his weapon out on Diddy. And while that back and forth is happening, a neighbor comes out and asks what's going on. Big Homie then, according to the lawsuit, points his weapon at that neighbor and tells him to mind his business and go back inside the house. I guess the neighbor does because then the lawsuit says that Big Homie turns to point the weapon back at Diddy, but as he does, Ashley goes to grab it. The weapon goes off. Diddy runs as she follows him with the knife in her hand. Diddy falls as she raises the knife on him with the quote, intent of driving the knife in his back. But Diddy begins pleading for his life, and seeing him like that gives Ashley a moment of clarity, so she decides not to drive the knife in his back and instead runs to escape. But the lawsuit says now Diddy is following her. The two of them get to some stairs and she ends up grazing his stomach with the knife that she had. Now some of this entourage that Diddy was there with then come over to him to render some medical aid, and she takes that opportunity to run to the street. The suit says Ashley gets to the street and one of the men that was with Diddy comes over to her and tells her that he's an undercover police officer. At this point, the lawsuit says the neighbor, who was told to go back in the house earlier, he comes out and asks what's going on. And as he does, the suit says that shots ring out. Ashley and the neighbor go inside his house and he says that he's already called the police. A little while later, according to the lawsuit, a sheriff from the Contra Costa Sheriff's Department arrives to the neighbor's house, but Ashley says it wasn't really a sheriff from the sheriff's office. It was a man named John Lawrence Pelletri, I don't know how to say his name, posing as a sheriff. Worth noting, John Lawrence is listed as a defendant in this case. After John Lawrence leaves the neighbor's house, the suit says that Ashley does eventually leave and she goes back to Shane's house, and when she gets there, Shane tells her that she could stay over and go to sleep, and Ashley says she agrees. She falls asleep, and when she finally wakes up, the suit says that Ash gives the rest of her belongings and she finally goes home. Now the suit says that the Contra Costa Sheriff's Office has confirmed that a police report was made by Ashley, but they have refused to release any information related to the complaint, despite numerous attempts made via Freedom of Information Act. In this suit, Ashley's lawyer says that even she has tried to get a copy of the police report, but the sheriff's office says that they won't release it without a subpoena. So that's the first part of this amended suit. But if you remember, I said that two plaintiffs have also been added. The John and Jane Doe plaintiffs are mother and son, and the short version of what they say happened to them is that they were kidnapped as they were walking to their car. The suit doesn't give a day or time frame as to when this happened, but it says that they were taken from Las Vegas and driven to different parts of California. They stayed at different locations and were beaten and drugged along the way. The suit says they eventually come across Jaguar Wright and a woman named Helena in a car one day. It says they recognized Helena because they met with her years before when Helena sued Michael Jackson, and the mother and son needed to see if her claims were similar to theirs. According to the suit, the mother and son were eventually taken to the house where Ashley was assaulted, and the two say they witnessed the whole thing. They say they started to file a police report but felt they would be, quote, deemed crazy and not believable, so they instead took a business card from the police station and never reported it. So that's essentially the lawsuit.